Welcome in and welcome back, everybody, to the Standard. The Steelers lose 17-0 to the New York Jets in week number 2 of the 2026 preseason. Let's talk about it now because I don't want to talk about this game ever again. This was and I don't put this lightly, one of the worst football games I've watched in quite some time, man. It really is up there for the worst games I've watched all the way through. And I'm a sicko, right? I love football so much. I watch a lot of preseason, a lot of college, professional. I love the draft. I study the draft, prospects and stuff like that. This was a really bad game, man, on all fronts by the Steelers. And it starts at the hands of Mr. Will Howard, who finally had a chance to not only start, but in my mind, secure himself or at least get a strong foothold on the Steelers' backup quarterback job. The Steelers gave him the opportunity. They said, "You're going to start, buddy. Go out there and prove it." And for the second week in a row, I can't help but feel incredibly disappointed by Will Howard's performance. And much more so than last week, I'm incredibly put off by Will Howard's performance in this one. It was just a terrible game. There's no way around it. He threw 2 interceptions, and they were bad-looking interceptions. Now, I know there's a lot of online discourse. I'm sure if any of you are active on any social media, and I'm sure you are because you found this podcast and you found me, and I appreciate you. There's a lot of discourse going around that it's not Will Howard's fault for these interceptions, that Roman Wilson cut them off too soon. I want to put that to bed right now. I don't want to hear that any longer. The first interception, if you look at it from the All-22 view, which I have viewed since I did my post-game live stream, and people were telling me to watch the video, looks like Andre Sisco was staring Will Howard's eyes down the whole time and was jumping the ball ready, or at least breaking on the ball, well before Will Howard even released the ball to Roman Wilson. I don't think that if Roman would have cut it sooner, that it would have been any better because there was still a defender in that area, even if Roman had cut a little bit sharper towards the sideline. I think that was just a poor decision by Will Howard at the end of the day. And the second interception, it's really, really hard to tell. Was Roman's intention to cut it upfield more? Was Roman supposed to sit on the soft zone? It looked to me like Roman was trying to maneuver up the field more and find the soft spot in the defense. That's what it looked like to me, and Will Howard let go of the ball too early. Or Roman Wilson maybe ran the wrong route on that one. But it's hard for me to blame Roman Wilson on any of them, man, and really say that those are his fault, because at the end of the day, Will Howard's the one making the decisions. Will Howard is the young, inexperienced quarterback who is liable to make these kind of decisions. And you know what it reminds me of? I tweeted this out, but the people that are still defending Will Howard through all of this and saying these things, they're not his fault, we're going to blame it on Roman Wilson. If we're really looking into preseason that much, and preseason doesn't matter like everybody likes to preach, then why are we trying to attack the receiver for not running a good route right there? You know what it reminds me of? It really reminds me of Kenny Pickett and his rookie year. Remember when he threw his first NFL pass and it was a interception, Chase Claypool, a jump ball, and people were saying all week on Twitter, Chase Claypool didn't make a good enough jump for it. It's his fault, not Kenny Pickett's. That's what you do when a quarterback is bad and they make bad decisions. You look for reasons to put it on somebody else. Low-hanging fruit, if you will. At the end of the day, what we have on Will Howard is these 2 weeks in preseason. And these 2 weeks in preseason have not been good for Will Howard. I don't know how you can possibly come away from this game tonight and say that you feel confident in Will Howard being the backup to Aaron Rodgers in 2026. He's proved absolutely nothing in preseason. He didn't really have a particularly good camp. As I've been preaching for a couple of weeks now, sometimes the safe option is the best option in the case of Mason Rudolph. I think it's incredibly telling that Mason Rudolph didn't have to play in this one. If he was truly in a quarterback competition, he would have played, in my mind. If there was any real threat of Will Howard taking his job and Mason Rudolph being cut, Will Howard would have had to go out and compete against Mason Rudolph tonight. That makes logical sense, right? I think that makes sense. It would come as a shock to me if Will Howard goes out there, even as a phenomenal third preseason game. I assume Mason Rudolph's going to sit the third preseason game against Buffalo as well. And the Steelers say, yeah, Mason, you're cut. Sorry, buddy. We just believe in the young guy more. And it is a little bit unfair because Will Howard has the same amount of NFL experience as someone like Drew Allar. And yeah, the Steelers, I guess, it's not their fault that Will Howard had an injury last preseason and didn't get to participate in anything like that. But there were significantly different expectations for Will Howard and Drew Allar in this training camp. I really hate that it's become a Will Howard versus Drew Allar debate because those guys have nothing to do with each other in terms of who makes the team and who doesn't. I think that Drew Allar's play says a lot about where Will Howard is and the talent level of Will Howard and the ceiling of Will Howard, but these guys aren't in a competition whatsoever. It shouldn't matter how their stats stack up, right? If you really want to look at how their stats stack up, let's do this. Let's do a little blind resume. Walk with me now. Player 1 is 17 of 24, 160 yards and 2 interceptions through roughly one full game of preseason action. Will Howard got about a quarter and a half first game, and then I just gave it away. Well, 17 to 24, 160 yards, 2 interceptions for player 1. And then player 2 is 21 to 36, 263, and 2 touchdowns. So again, player 1 has a better completion percentage. Player 1 has also made several mistakes and thrown for less yards, but player 2 has thrown for more yards, slightly worse completion percentage, and he's thrown a pair of touchdowns. Now, of course, player 1 is Will Howard and player 2 is Drew Allar. If you want to go by the blind stats, you tell me who's played better this preseason. And again, I want to go back to they didn't have the same expectations. They weren't on the same playing field, really, throughout training camp and preseason. Will Howard's goal coming into this training camp and preseason was to earn the backup role for the Steelers. He hasn't done that. He hasn't done nearly enough to prove that he is capable of being such a thing, at least right now in the league. Drew Allar's supposed to go out there and be the fun, developmental future guy. And look at that, he's thrown a couple of really nice balls, a couple of nice touchdowns, led a couple of really good drives. Didn't look great tonight. We'll get into Allar in a little bit here, of course, but I think the main takeaway from tonight is Will Howard and his performance. I think that's the easiest big takeaway. So I hate that we're comparing the two at all, but if you really want to look at it, I say these guys have the same amount of NFL experience, and Drew Allar has flat out been better at this point. So what am I supposed to do? My point is, guys, I don't see a way you can come away from this game or the first couple weeks of preseason and feel confident in Will Howard making this team. Jerry Dulac consistently still reports, even after the game against the Jets, that the Steelers plan to keep Will Howard and Drew Allar on the 53-man roster. I don't think it can make sense roster construction-wise to keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster. I think if you cut Will Howard and kept him on your practice squad after he cleared waivers, nobody would touch Will Howard. 6th-round pick quarterbacks get cut all the time in their second year. What is a team going to see in Will Howard that the Steelers don't, that the Steelers haven't been able to extract out of him with the offensive mastermind that Mike McCarthy is being touted as to us? What? Will Howard, that was a practice squad performance tonight from him. It just was. And for the second game in a row, Drew Allar, he wasn't good in this one. We can kind of go into him now. But he didn't make 2 boneheaded decisions. And again, Drew Allar is supposed to be the one that's making these boneheaded decisions. Drew Allar is the one who is supposed to be making these mistakes. And we're supposed to be learning from. And he's supposed to be learning on the fly. That's what we're supposed to be seeing from Drew Allar. Not from someone who's supposed to be touted as the backup quarterback to Aaron Rodgers right now. I think the depth chart is set. I don't know that there's anything that Will Howard could do at this point in time. I think what the Steelers should do right now, they don't have to do it right now. They'll wait until the 30th when they have to make their final rosters. I think what it's going to be, what they should do is Aaron Rodgers QB1, Mason Rudolph QB2, and Drew Allar QB3. And that leaves everybody's favorite, the national championship winning quarterback, Will Howard, on the practice squad. Or maybe he goes somebody else. somewhere else. I don't really care at this point. The Steelers owe the guy absolutely nothing. That you cannot say that they haven't given him a fair shot to go out there and earn the backup job this summer, because they absolutely have. They absolutely tried. And I don't know how you can look at what happened tonight, what's happened in the first couple of preseason games, what's happened over training camp, and say, I feel confident in that guy to be the backup. The only thing that's holding Will Howard up at this point is the perceived notion of some of the fan base that thinks that this guy deserves more, that this guy has some kind of untapped potential. And a lot of it is Drew Allar hate. A lot of it is they don't like Drew Allar. A lot of it is Ohio State fans and the Big Ten fans. I truly implore people to watch the games and watch the talent that's being presented to them. Will Howard does not have a plus arm. He tends to stare down his receivers. He's not a great decision maker. Drew Allar, the only thing that he has going for him right now is he has prototypical size. He's got hell of an arm talent. He's making throws like rolling out to his left and throwing a 38-yard bomb to Lake friggin' McCree in a preseason game. The talent difference is immense between these two. And while it's not between them whatsoever, it's apparent when you watch the two. They're not on the same playing field. They don't have the same expectations. But man, it really sucks that Drew Allar has like the zip. He has the arm talent and all this stuff. I sound crazy, but at the same time, I think it makes sense. And I think it's clear what the Steelers should do at quarterback. Whether or not they do it is one thing. Again, Jerry Dulac seems adamant that they're going to keep Will Howard on the 53-man roster. I don't know how the hell you do it. Because like I've been preaching, that's going to come at the expense of someone like an Eli Heidenreich. And boy, people aren't going to like that. He didn't really do much today, but we can get into that. I'll say this about the quarterbacks in general, too. Mike McCarthy made it pretty clear that it was going to be the same kind of simple, easy stuff for the quarterbacks in this game. I'm not saying it wasn't, but I think they were both more willing to push the ball down the field, which I think is all a welcome sign. Will Howard clearly wasn't able to do it very effectively. Neither was Drew Allar. He had that one catch, that one 38-yard throw that everybody will remember, but it wasn't great for either of them tonight. It really wasn't. It looked like a little bit more aggressive of an offense, and I think that comes with the nature of they were down big pretty much the entire game. They spawned in down 10-0 pretty much. That's what happened. And then a couple of turnovers. It was just a downhill disaster from there overall. So I don't think it was a particularly bad called game by McCarthy. It's hard to say because he really made it clear he's also not really game planning much for this. He's really just trying to go out there and give the young quarterbacks some easy stuff, see what they're going to do with it, that kind of thing. But it was interesting. It felt a little bit different tonight. And I still think it's refreshing to watch that kind of offense. I still think it's it's fun to see. You can't say it's not. You can't say it's not. And Drew Allar, like I said, he wasn't much better than Will Howard. I'd say, yeah, he outperformed Will Howard because he didn't throw 2 boneheaded interceptions. But at the same time, we saw some accuracy issues. We saw him sail some throws that he probably should have made. Drew Allar, even himself after the game, said he felt like he was big play hunting more. Maybe that came with the nature of being down more. Maybe it felt like the need to make a big play, but he says he felt like he left a lot out on the field. It's fine. Preseason week 2. Again, this guy is on a completely different playing field in the fact that he doesn't have to play this year. Will Howard is being touted as someone that should be playing this year. He's not that. I hate to break it to you guys. He's not that. And then what do you do in preseason week 3? I know a lot of people, at least on my live stream, were saying we should start Drew Allar. If the Steelers do start Drew Allar, that means that Will Howard is absolutely being cut in my mind. I think Drew Allar was out there throwing to, for lack of a better term, with all due respect, insurance salesmen. No disrespect to insurance salesmen. No disrespect to the guys who are going out there and they've made it farther in the athletic and football world than I ever will in my entire life. I'm just a guy with a microphone who lives for this shit. But Lance Mason was out there catching passes from Drew Allar, or not even catching, letting it hit off his hands. A couple of brutal drops at the end of the game that probably would have led the Steelers to maybe a touchdown drive, maybe some points. I don't know. It's hard to say. 7 drops by the Steelers tonight. The pass catchers were atrocious all around. It was not good. It was not good. So as far as the quarterbacks go, I think there's a clear pecking order. I think it's clear when you watch the games and you watch the talent that's being presented to you. It's obvious what they should do. I'll say this. I think keeping 4 quarterbacks would be a mistake. I think that would be a mistake that they will regret, even though you don't have Mason Rudolph or Aaron Rodgers on the roster next year. And as big of a Drew Allar defender as I seem like, guys, I will say this. Don't let Drew Allar stop you from taking a quarterback in the first round in the 2027 draft. That shouldn't stop the Steelers whatsoever. A third-round guy, you're going to let him stop you from drafting a first-round guy, even if you really believe in him. I think that's kind of malpractice there. I think we know what Will Howard is at this point because, we were told he was competing for the backup job. I don't think he's getting it. That's all I got to say about the quarterbacks there. Offensive line was also so bad tonight. It wasn't funny how bad they were. I looked up how many sacks they had about midway through the fourth quarter because I'm like, this offensive line's been atrocious. I think they've given up, no joke, 7 or 8 sacks. It was only 4, which was surprising to me. And one of the sacks, Broderick Jones got absolutely blown by David Bailey, the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft, and Broderick kind of regained some ground on him. And Will Howard, instead of stepping up in the pocket, he stepped to the side into the sack. So then again, not great pocket presence, not great awareness, anything like that. But Broderick Jones was brutal. And that blows because he was a bright spot last week. And just every time I think Broderick Jones is turning the corner, he has a game like that. And I don't know what to do, man. That's just where we're at with Broderick Jones right now. Reality of the situation. He's playing about 15 pounds underweight. Great story for him to come back and be playing, but man, I don't know. Dylan Cook was also not good at all. Just not good. And I keep saying it, but I really do think that if Ihanator was fully healthy, he would be your week 1 starting right tackle. And maybe it's just the Steelers wanting to ease him along and make sure he's healthy for the season because they know deep down that this guy's going to be our starting right tackle for probably a good portion of the year and the near future. And we just want to make sure he's okay. That's a completely fair way to look at things. I think that's possible. That makes sense, right? Yeah. I don't know, man. Just not a good game from the offensive line. They didn't give Will Howard any favors. They didn't do Drew Allar any favors. It was a complete and total team just it was shit tonight. Tonight was just really, really bad. And it's preseason, so it's fine, but whatever. Running backs. Interestingly enough, Caleb Johnson, justice for our guy, Caleb Johnson. He led the team in carries with 10 of them for 39 yards, 3.9 yards a carry. Yeesh. Now I'll say this. Caleb Johnson did have about a 12, 13-yard rush that got called back because of holding. Again, the offensive line was atrocious tonight. It was a holding on Brock Hoffman, a Mike McCarthy Dallas Cowboys legend. So Caleb Johnson did get that called back. And I look at the splits for the running backs because Rico Dowdle and Jalen Warren played in this one. They each got 5 carries. They averaged 3.4 yards for Warren and 3.6 yards for Dowdle, respectively. And I'm not putting too much stock into that. What I'm going to say about the running backs are I didn't need to see Rico Dowdle or Jalen Warren in the preseason. Didn't really need to. Because I think I go away from this game with more questions about who's going to be the RB3 for the Steelers. Because Lou Nichols with 3 carries for 11 yards, they took him off the field after that. He didn't get any carries until Caleb Johnson was done for the night. I don't know, man. What are we doing there? Eli Heidenreich only had 2 carries for 9 yards. What are we doing with Eli Heidenreich? Is he going to make the team? He's got less carries than Caleb Johnson through the first 2 preseason games anyways. If they keep 4 quarterbacks like I've been saying, it's going to come at the expense of someone like Heidenreich. I would have liked to see them try Heidenreich more as a receiver in the NFL. I think that's where his skill set best fits. I don't know that I see him as a running back. I don't know. Hard to say given the small sample size we've been given on him. Sure. But what do we take away from Lou Nichols only getting 3 carries compared to Caleb Johnson's 10? Are we in the boat of Lou Nichols is the RB3 and they kind of just wanted to give Caleb Johnson some more run because they owe it to him? I think they do owe that much to Caleb Johnson compared to 5 snaps in the first preseason game and 2 carries. He gets 10 carries and a whole lot of snaps. Over 20 snaps. Played more than quadruple than he did in the first preseason game. And again, he wasn't particularly great, but I think is obviously his best play of the night was called back. So that is notable. And again, the offensive line issues. How worried about it am I? I feel like for the second straight week, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, it's preseason. I don't know, man. Fatanu was fine, I thought, in the little bit he played. That right side of the offensive line is scary to look at. Spencer Anderson and Dylan Cook, both his first-time starters. I'm a tad bit frightened looking at that. I can't lie. I don't know how that's going to hold up. It doesn't look good in preseason. Why should I have confidence it's going to look good in the regular season? Why should I have that confidence? Remind me, somebody. So then again, is there a scenario where the Steelers keep Jalen Warren, Rico Dowdle, Lou Nichols, and Caleb Johnson? Travis Homer is going to make the team as well. Is a special teams guy. He's going to be an important special teams piece. Is Heidenreich just the odd man out there? Or is it Caleb Johnson? Maybe that's the battle we should be looking at. I would like to see Eli get more run in the third preseason game, but then again, based on what we've seen in the first couple of preseason games, which isn't much, do they even view Heidenreich as somebody that can make this team? As the 240th overall pick in the NFL draft. From Mount Lebanon, everybody's favorite. A lot of jerseys of him out in Latrobe at training camp. Everybody loves them some Eli Heidenreich. What are we doing there? Running back 3 job seems to be up for grabs. I would still give the edge to Lou Nichols. I still think it's his to lose. Receiving wise, it was a mess. It was just a mess tonight. Jeremy Bernard, 0 catches. What are we doing? What are we doing giving Jeremy Bernard 0 catches in a preseason game? 1 target? How many targets did Jeremy Bernard have? Yeah, he had 1 target. And I know exactly what it was. It was a fade route on the sideline where Will Howard underthrew him. I don't think throwing a fade route to Jeremy Bernard is going to be his game in the NFL. Don't like the situation he was put in. Don't like that throw. Don't like any of it. For someone that's not labeled to be a starter right now, it's going to be Roman Wilson starting in the slot in all likelihood come week 1. Why are we not giving Jeremy Bernard more looks in the preseason? I was annoyed with that. Roman Wilson, 2 catches on the night for 16 yards. Had a 14-yard catch early in this one. People are blaming Roman Wilson for Will Howard's reading of the defenses. I don't know, man. The leading receiver on the team tonight was Lake freaking McCree, the undrafted tight end out of USC, who had 2 catches for 46 yards. He was the recipient of the Drew Allar 38-yard bomb down the sideline. Isaiah Winstead was the second leading receiver with 2 catches for 32 yards. Lord help us all. Robert Tonyan, 2 catches, 17 yards. Ben Skoranek, 3 catches, 26 yards. Caleb Johnson also had 2 catches for 15 yards. Good for Caleb Johnson. He's got a little bit of versatility. He's a pass catcher. He can run it. Oh no, what are they going to do? I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're planning with Caleb Johnson, man. I don't know. Riley Nowakowski, 1 catch for 10 yards. Jaheim Bell, 2 catches for 5 yards. Dropped a big one from Drew Allar at the end of the game. I don't know, dude. Just a true, complete and utter failure offensively tonight. And again, Drew Allar made the best throw of the night, but he also mightily struggled. Nobody looked good. Not a soul looked good. And a lot of different people looked good in the first preseason game, so that makes it all that more frustrating, all that much more upsetting. I think is all fair ways to look at that and assess that. Now, defensively, I do think the best player on the field was Elandon Roberts. If I'm the Steelers, I'm shutting Elandon Roberts down for the rest of the preseason. Don't need to see any more. This guy was the best player on the field, man. I don't know what to tell you. First play in, he's in the backfield stopping a run for a gain of 0 at the absolute best. It might have been for a loss. His best play of the night, though, was 4th and 2. The Jets complete a pass. It's Elandon Roberts one-on-one. He's got to make the tackle, brings the guy to the ground in the open field. I love that I have a linebacker now, an inside linebacker that I can trust in the open field, that I can trust to make a tackle, that I can trust to play downhill. Elandon Roberts was wearing the green dot tonight for the defense. Read into that how you will. I love it, man. It took till August to get our best inside linebacker, perhaps. And man, I cannot be more thrilled that Elandon Roberts is back. He's home. He plays like a Steeler. You know, your dad is always like, oh, they used to be different back in the day. That guy embodies what it means to be a Steeler. Elandon Roberts, that guy's a Steeler. All right? Love him. Best player on the field tonight by far. May have been the MVP. Him or Cameron freaking Johnston, who we'll talk about in a little bit. Other than that, Deshaun Elliott didn't look great his first drive back, and that's to be expected. He hasn't played since November, since he suffered a season-ending injury. It was good to see him back, getting into the mix. It was fine. I've become a big fan of Jamin Davis in recent weeks. He deserves a shot to make the 53-man as an edge rusher. This is a guy who was drafted as an inside linebacker in 2021, has bounced around the league, didn't work out in Washington where he was drafted. All of a sudden, he finds himself being signed to the Steelers because he did play under defensive coordinator Patrick Graham in Las Vegas last season, and he was more used as an edge rusher there. And now the Steelers continue to develop him as an edge rusher. He had 2 sacks last week, and then he batted down a pass this week. I'm a big fan of Jamin Davis making the team as potentially a depth piece in that edge rusher room. Big, huge props to Jamin freaking Davis. Rayshawn Jenkins as well. On my postgame live stream, the viewers gave me 2 comps for Rayshawn Jenkins, Mike Hilton and Bud Dupree. Out there, I know. Crazy, I know. But what Rayshawn Jenkins did tonight was Patrick Graham's like, I'm going to blitz you, and I'm going to blitz you again, and I'm going to send you another one. How about another one? And he was in the backfield every single time. He was flying around the field. Had a big-time tackle for loss. Good for Rayshawn Jenkins. And in a Steelers safety room that is incredibly thin, not very good, a veteran presence like Jenkins who can come in and blitz and make an impact, that might be the difference between him making the roster and not making the roster. I think he did a phenomenal job tonight. There's nothing much more for me to say about the way that Rayshawn Jenkins played. It was really, really good. It was great even. Some are saying great. And then special teams. We can talk. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about special teams. Let's talk about it. Cameron Johnston might have been the best player on the field, next to Elandon Roberts. If I had to rank the top 3 Steelers MVPs this game, give me Elandon Roberts, give me Cameron Johnston, and then give me, do I have to pick another one? Do I have to? Give me, how about like McCree? Good catch, buddy. I don't know. It's hard. Nobody played. Give me Rayshawn Jenkins. Rayshawn Jenkins 3 over Lake McCree. Cameron Johnston averaged 50 yards a punt, and that may seem like nothing. You may be sitting in your car watching on your TV while you're chutting out, eating a meal, and you're like, Joey, why are you talking about Cameron Johnston after week 2 of a preseason game? You're a sicko. You'd be correct. I think if Cameron Johnston averages 50 yards a punt, the Steelers defense is going to be thanking him. The fans are going to be like, wow, this is awesome. We actually have a good punter. The Steelers haven't had a good punter, and I can't tell you how long. The Presley Harvin experiment? What are we doing? Cameron Johnston comes in. He blows out his knee week 1. We have to do the Corliss Waitman experience for a year. It was always a shock to me when Corliss Waitman beat out Cameron Johnston for this job. It was always a shock to me. He's averaging 50 yards a punt throughout the preseason, and I think that's going to be a noticeable difference come regular season time, when it's time to play the field positioning game. Lath Marjan, the backup kicker who's going to be cut in 9 days here. I said it during some of my training camp content. I really do feel bad for him because Boswell's out there banging 60-yarders, and then they put Marjan out there and he just doinks it. 44-yard field goal, he missed it. I stand with Lath Marjan. I really do feel bad for the guy in that regard, though. Not really his fault. I mean, yeah, it is his fault. He missed a field goal, 44 yards. He's got to make that if he wants to be in the league. Yeah, I'll tell you what. This is who everybody comes to hear about on the special teams side of things. Caden Wetjen. I'm waiting to see it. Joey, you won't be complaining when he's returning kicks out to the 40 every time. Okay. I'm waiting to see him take one out to the 40. I'm waiting to see it. His lone kick return, he gained 22 yards. It was a net of 22 yards. And what he did was he ran to the 22-yard line and he stood still. He stood frozen in fear. Granted, there were about 7 Packers running at him, and he just had no chance to go anywhere. But he just stood still. I'm waiting for him to break one loose. I'm patiently waiting, guys. This is a 4th-round pick that could have been put to good use on an inside linebacker safety hybrid, 2 positions that the Steelers need. You know who I'm talking about? Went to Pitt. He's a Shark. Plays down in Miami. I'm not going to say the name, but that's who that pick could have been used on. Just some food for thought there. I'm waiting to see it with Caden Wetjen. I still am. And again, it's preseason. You can say, Joey, it's preseason. You're overreacting. It's a punt returner, kick returner. Who cares? I was told to have big expectations for this guy. I'm only going off of what I was told to believe in, guys. I'm not a bad guy. I'm not being unfair here. This is what I was told this guy was supposed to do. Where is it? Why am I not seeing it? Why is it not happening? I want to see Caden Wetjen go out there and have a big gain on a kick return. And maybe I shouldn't be complaining because he had a 74-yard catch in the first preseason game, 64 yards after the catch. My rebuttal to that would be, if he's playing receiver at any point for the Steelers this season, something has gone drastically wrong. This is bad. This is very, very bad. That's what your thought process should be if Caden Wetjen's on the field as a receiver at any point this year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it was certainly a football game of all time. Steelers lose 17-0 to the New York Jets in week 2 of the preseason. The Steelers conclude mercifully their preseason next Thursday when they take on the Buffalo Bills at, again, 7 p.m., their lone road game during the preseason. And my thought process going into that game as we kind of close things out here and get into a little bit of a look ahead for week number 3 of the preseason, I wouldn't completely rule out Aaron Rodgers playing a series. And that would throw a wrench in things for Will Howard. Would throw a wrench in things for Drew Allar getting some more experience. Maybe Drew Allar deserves the opportunity to start, but I highly doubt, I wouldn't anticipate him starting. I think the Steelers know what he is. He's developmental. Like I keep saying, even though, I don't know, some throws he makes, you're like, that guy, I see it. I see if you're listening in your car, I'm pointing. I see it. But I wouldn't anticipate Drew Allar getting the start. That doesn't seem like something the Steelers, feel like they owe Drew Allar at this point. I still think they have a lot to figure out as far as their quarterback room goes, even though it seems pretty crystal clear to me what they should do. It's pretty crystal clear, but there's some reporting out there from someone well received in that building, very plugged in that building, saying this guy, they're keeping all 4 quarterbacks. That's what he's preaching. Okay, we'll see. I want to see no Rico Dowdle or Jalen Warren. I'm good. I know they're fine. I know they're capable. I want to know more about Lou Nichols. I want to know more about Caleb Johnson. I want to know more about Eli friggin' Heidenreich. I want to know more about them. I want to have the answers. Give Jeremy Bernard some freaking touches. Don't throw a fade route to him, an underthrown one at that. That's not Jeremy Bernard. It's just not. It was a complete and utter just shit show tonight for the Steelers. It really wasn't. It really was. 17-0, big time loss to the New York Jets. If you've made it this far, first of all, thank you. I love you and appreciate you all. If you're watching on Spotify, YouTube, however you're taking this in, make sure to like and subscribe. Tons of Steelers content coming, particularly on YouTube. After every game, we're going live, and I'm allowing viewers to join the conversation. Get in to the stream and talk to me. Give me your thoughts about every single game. Those streams are going to be a lot of fun during the season with Jack and Parker and all kinds of special guests. I look forward to all of it. Thank you all for listening and watching. As always, we will be back in under a week talking Steelers Bills Week 3 preseason. So if you're a real sicko, I appreciate you tuning in. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon.